Hello, hello. Here we are again with another episode of Touchline Hotspur presented by Touchline Media Group. So today I'll be your host. I'm Sai. We've got with me today Ohio. How's it going, fella?
I'm not too bad, man. Obviously, Liverpool tier three lockdown. It's a bit peak. Well, we get gyms back. Well, we get gyms back tomorrow, but I can't go to the gym for a week because my housemate is tested positive for coronavirus.
Oh, shit, son.
So it's
Oh,
kind of
Right.
techie right now still.
Right.
He's on lockdown, man.
Trust
Prison
me.
workouts, innit?
They won't let me out. It's peak, bro.
We got
Before
Owen with us
that
today.
do-rag as well.
Trust me, yeah, D-Rag as well, bro. You know the vibes.
How's it going, Owen?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Good, good. Any news this week or?
No, man. No, I didn't want to follow up. Nothing interesting to say, I'm afraid.
Fair play. And we got Tobes. How's it going?
Yo,
bro?
yo, what's good? What up? No news
And-
from me as well, apart from the fact that I'm working my socks off, working like a dog this week.
Clients left and right.
Yes, something like that.
That's
Yeah,
Yeah.
no inquiries from this side. Last but not least, we have our newest addition. He's been lurking in the group chat. We finally got him to make his debut appearance, something like Gareth Bale. We got Jack. How's it going, mate?
What's going on? Yeah, not bad, not bad. Just like Ohio, tier 3 lockdown up here in Manchester. So, yeah, it's getting a bit cabin feverish, but,
0161, love Manny.
Manny on a map.
I didn't even know what the landline number is up here, man. I can't say 0161. Let's find it.
Some string of digits.
That's
Nothing
right.
important though.
01, this is a shithole one.
Oh wow. These man,
Quickly moving on.
these man walk around with swords, you know. Don't let them find you, cuz.
So this has been quite a jam-packed week. Lots to talk about. We're coming off 2 games now. As of recording, we've just finished playing LASK, Austrian side. Game finished 3-0 to Tottenham Hotspur, which is a relief. Speaking of threes, earlier in the week, we played West Ham, coming off of our podcast with Dan Wallace from West Ham Fan TV. The game finished 3-3. So action-packed game, to say the least. Sparked a lot of conversation over the week. So who'd like to kick us off with that? Let's say Toby.
Toes, go for it.
No,
I'm waiting on you lot to. I don't want to speak about it.
I'll do a quick little review of the game. I think I was quite happy to see Bergwijn getting a start. I thought, just he needs to try and get back going to where he was previously. I think he had it was a mixed performance from Bergwijn, better than recent, but nothing over a 6 at best. I think lost the ball a couple of times, did take a couple people on, got busy, got stuck in. I think because I wasn't really sure what he was like defensively previously, but I think defensively he stepped up a bit, not quite in the Lucas Moura or Lamella way, but if he's taking tips off them defensively, it can't be a bad thing necessarily. Won £350 off Kane and Son assisting each other in the first 8 minutes and screwing my house down. That was amazing. And Dom, Cold, Tongi, we backed him, and it's like he heard us backing him the whole time. Like he's moving wavy, man. I'm sure others are going to wax lyrical about it, but we've been knowing what he's about, and it's nice to see him stepping up. I think he got something like 8 ball recoveries, same amount of tackles as Hojbjerg. That was genuinely really pleasant to see. And I think I'm going to stop on positives. Yeah, I'm going to stop on the positives right there.
It was a tale of 2 halves. We definitely flew out the gates pretty early. Second half, though, I know, Jack, you've been waiting for this one.
Oh, man. I mean, normally, if you're 3-0 up, taking your foot off the gas would be, in the long run, the right thing to do. But with our defence, with our individual errors that we make, we have to be 5-0 up to actually be somewhat comfortable. because, oh man, I complain about our centre backs, right, all the time, and they are shit, all of them. But that wasn't okay. Sanchez was at fault for the second goal, but I'll say individual errors from Winks, from Sissoko for not even challenging for that ball as well. I think it's all a mentality thing. It was all a mentality thing at the end of the day. And if you eradicate that weakness in that team mentally, we would have been comfortable in that game. We would have been comfortable defensively. We don't have any leaders in our back line at all. And I think that defensive organisation has to come at least from one, proper organising top centre back. He would be able to do that for us, but again, no one was leading us. Kane having to sprint back to make a block in the end of the first half just said it all. It's that separation between the mentally strong players and the fragile ones.
It's funny you say no leaders at the back, because one of the big omissions from our side in the last couple of games has been Eric Dyer, who, for all intents and purposes, has been pretty solid all season. I know he has his detractors, but one of the things I did say going into the season was the fact that moving forward, I would prefer us to have Sanchez and Dyer at the back as our first partnership, because I don't really see Toby as a leader. And this is a long-standing opinion that I've had from the times where Vertonghen was at the back with him. You could often hear Vertonghen commanding that back line, either commanding Rose to pull his finger out or directing Toby, or even just covering for him in moments where maybe he's been a bit too aggressive or his man has spun him or whatever. And we definitely miss that. You can tell Dyer is a respected part of the dressing room. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that is one of the observations that I've had. We've looked a lot worse at the back without Dyer in the team.
I don't rate Dyer, but after seeing Sanchez and Toby of late, I think he probably is by default our best centre back. And again, there was one moment I think with Toby, he doesn't trust his physique anymore. There was a moment where the ball was played in the channels to Antonio, and it was played a bit ahead of him. Toby should have gone for it. He was the favourite to get to that, but he decided to back away because he didn't trust himself. He doesn't trust his body anymore. And I think, sad to say, it's the end of Toby, to be honest.
Yeah, he is declining. It's clear to see. I think he has the most composure in our back line by a country mile. Like when it comes to pinging a pass and just calmness on the ball, he has that. But like Jack says, his agility has completely gone from 70% to 0%. And I think in 1v1 situations, he is, honest to God, the worst defender we have in our team. Like if there's any defender I don't want isolated 1v1 in our back line now, it's him, because it's a myth. And I also feel like as well, aerially, he's never been good aerially. He always loses out in aerial battles. And I do think, like Jack said, I don't rate Eric Dyer, but I do think to combat to combat the issues that we had with West Ham swinging them balls and into the air, I think he would have helped with that. But I'm not going to use that as our sole excuse for dropping those points, because I think collectively there was a lot that several players could have done to prevent all 3 goals. I think even beyond Eric Dyer, even beyond Alderweireld, who I actually thought played well. I actually thought he played well against West Ham. I didn't think he put a foot wrong, but I just feel collectively, Winks, Mora, Sissoko, Sanchez, a few others, like just stupid things in high pressure situations, and it's cost us 3 points from what should have been a routine win home. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We can look at the centre back pairing. It is an issue. We know it's an issue, but I do think beyond that, there were just some players in our team that just completely switched off.
So you've mentioned quite a few players there. I think coming off the third goal, especially, Winks got absolutely flamed on the timeline and pretty much everywhere else. Would you say that comes down to a lack of composure or mentality, or is it just rotten luck in a moment where brilliance offsets a bad piece of play?
I think it's the brilliance offsets a bad piece of play, because I think people are going way over the top with the criticism of Harry Winks. Like, they're like, oh, Winks, I never want to see him at the club again. I'm like, bruv, like, yes, he should really and truly just boot that ball into row Z, but he's got there ahead of the first man. If he doesn't nick that ball ahead of the first man, he's the one that's going to get the ball and lump it back into the box or have an attempt on goal. So he's got there past the first man. And I'm sorry, there is nothing, absolutely nothing anyone can do about that Lanzini goal. That is an absolute screamer. He's got a 1 in a million shot of scoring that, and he's hit it. So, like, for me, the third goal, I'm not even looking at Harry Winks for the third goal. For the third goal, I'm looking at Aurier, who's giving away a free kick that leads up to the goal. And even that free kick, it was a soft free kick, but just don't give it away. Don't give it away. There's no pressure. You don't even need to touch the man. You don't need to touch the man. Like, let him do whatever he wants to the ball. There's seconds left on the clock. And yet he gives away a cheap free kick in a vulnerable position, and it leads to a goal.
I think, like, looking back on it as well, and how the ball kind of came across to Winks, like, it was almost a far cry to say he would have actually been able to clear it, because he was stretching for the ball anyway. Like, I had to look back on this like 3-4 times just to kind of come to that conclusion. He's obviously tried to touch it down, got unlucky, and like you said, Toby, I think Aurier's mistake was worse. I didn't think it was a free kick, but that touch which led to that kind of conversation with Snodgrass, I believe it was, where he was under no pressure and he just had that heavy touch. Like, he should never have even been losing the ball there in the first place, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a bit of tough. It's a tough one to quantify, because we see so frequently, especially in this team, in those late moments, there always seems to be a free kick. And again, people will attribute that to mistakes being made and so on and so forth. But I do think, given the flow of a lot of these games, the opposition is always going to be a lot more aggressive. So the margin for error shrinks tenfold. So for me, it was a difficult one to watch, because you sort of, you don't want to give players a blight in those situations where they have been quite comfortable within the course of the game. But yeah, there's a fine line between a lack of composure and just the way football goes sometimes. So I personally just had a bit of a laugh when that Lanzini goal came in, because if there's ever a moment where I've sort of had to accept the idea of us being a little bit Spursy, that was definitely one of them. It wasn't all negative though. I think as Ohio touched on, Kane Son, what more can we say about them? I mean, somebody take us through what the expectations for these guys is over this course of the season, because they are playing at the highest level at the minute.
I think if they can maintain the way they're going, I think they're going to take who's top spot of the assist duo. Is it Drogba and Lampard? Someone correct me. Is it Drogba and Lampard? I don't know if it's Drogba and Lampard of like late 30s, early 40s.
36, I think they have.
36. I genuinely believe, like, you know, it's not a trophy or anything, but I feel like them two can have that this season. I'm not gonna lie. To be honest, the way they're going, they could have that before Christmas. But, you know, let's not count our chickens before they hatch. I think Son, you know, Tobes especially, I think you've been involved in a couple like is Son world class debates, and I think he's getting very, very close to that no longer being a conversation. You know, it's always been he usually has those patches where he just goes missing a little bit, or he just gets into those positions a bit less and he seems a little bit ineffective. But in his defense, a lot of the team was ineffective last year, and there's just something I'm watching them that just leads me to believe it's not just a hot streak. It's like when I watch Calvert-Lewin nowadays. At the beginning, I was like, oh, maybe he's just cooking for now. But now I'm like, no, like, I think this is what this guy's actually on. Like, he might have 3-4 games where he's not going to score, but I feel like when I look at Calvert-Lewin, I'm like, okay, I think you're now hitting the level that, you know, people have been backing you to hit. And I think it's the same with Son. Like, we're seeing a level of consistency that we've been asking for, because when Kane's been out, like, he has stepped up, whether it be through the middle or through the left. And I think we've touched on it in a previous pod. Again, the positives of Bale being about, some of them are very tangible that you can read, you can see key performance indicators and stuff. But I genuinely think Bale's presence, not in a competition way for Kane and Son, because they play different positions to Bale, generally speaking, but I do genuinely think having the extra quality of Bale in training is just giving them just a bit more of an oomph to show what they're about. Because if I was Kane and Son, I'd be like, okay, look, while you've been gone, we've been the big dogs here. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, you were the guy, but we're the guys here. So we sort of need to remind everyone, you might have the number 9 shirt, but this is who we are. This is what we're on. So again, there's no real way to measure that unless they come out and say it themselves. But I do think the Bale signing has just given them that extra senzu bean to just keep going forwards. You know what I mean?
I think with Sonny as well, I think the real test, even beyond the fact that he's putting away all these chances, is the real test is when we hit like the Christmas period or Jan or whatnot, like, because we associate Son as a quality player. And like Ohio said, he's always been on the cusp of that world-class bracket, but he's never broken into it because he can be streaky. And I think this is the season where even beyond scoring the goals, can you, when the going gets tough and our team's not really playing well, you're not maybe getting the chances that you're getting or the openings, can you still deliver a positive performance over the course of 90 minutes? Because when I look at someone like Sadio Mane and even Mohamed Salah, even when they're not scoring or assisting, they're killing the opposition. They're having top games. And Sonny, we've seen that even in games where he doesn't score an assist, he has the ability to kill teams, and we've seen him do it. But what I want him to do this season is eradicate that streakiness he has in his game. And second of all, I want him to make sure he hits that goal, that target, just to stamp that sort of world-class status. Because if you look at his expected goals and whatnot, he's always outperformed his expected goals because that's who he is. He's someone who can make turn a half chance into a goal. But even beyond the whole outperforming your expected goals, can you maintain that sort of game-to-game consistency? If he can do that this season and he can keep scoring the way he's scoring, without a doubt, we'll be talking about a world-class player at the end of the season. And I think with Harry Kane, we know the proof is in the pudding, man. Like, we don't even need to wax lyrical about him. Everyone knows. If you don't know about Harry Kane right now, you're just playing yourself, because we knew it. We watch him week in, week out. We know this is what he can do. And I think this is the first season, hopefully, if he stays fit, in a long time where we can actually say, rah, this guy's coming for the PFA this year. Like, he's hungry. And I think a lot of sides in the Premier League should really be worried about the way this guy's playing, because if he stays fit, the way he's playing now, I can't see anyone else beating him for that PFA award.
In terms of areas of Son's game that sort of separate him from maybe the upper echelon players in his sort of position, and for me, those players would be, obviously, you've mentioned Salah, you've mentioned Mane. I'd add Sterling to that list as well in terms of world-class players who can just decide a game. For me, it's decision-making. Son will always get you goals. Son will always chip in with assists. But for me, those decisive actions is what changes a player from streaky to world-class and decisive. There's so many moments over the course of a season where the difference between a misplaced pass or releasing a ball early or taking a shot first time, these are things that can decide whether or not Son hits those heights that we all hope that he does. And I mean, the glimpses so far this season have been bright, so I am looking forward to it. In terms of world class, obviously Bale made his re-debut for us. He played about 20 minutes, was it? Came on at about 70 minutes. How did we rate his performance?
Bale, yeah. He I thought he's still looking a bit rough. His match sharpness isn't fully there yet, but he has shown glimpses of quality when the ball's at his feet. I think really his ability to just hit that, play those through balls in first time, the contribution to the own goal as well. I think those glimpses of quality are there, and we knew he was going to do that anyway. We know once the ball's at his feet in a good position, he's always going to produce something. And yeah, once he gets his match sharpness, I I can't wait to see all that, really, pretty much. But yeah, looking a bit rusty physically, but in time, give it a few more games. I think like Harry Kane, I think just give him a few games to warm up, and there's a big fixture pile up coming in the next month, so hopefully he'll be ready by then.
As the biggest detractor of this Bale return, Owen, how are you feeling about him and his performances so far? Obviously, this will transition nicely into the LASK game now that we have a bit bigger of a sample size.
Yeah, I mean, watching him through the first half of tonight's game, he actually looked really sharp, I've got to say. If our final ball was better to him, he would have been able to do more, I'm sure. But from what I was kind of thinking, he wouldn't be able to kind of bring to the table. He's kind of showed that already. Like, his dribbling looks really sharp. His acceleration looks decent. His touch is still getting there, but I mean, it's all good signs so far, and he kind of tailed off in the second half because he just needs the minutes right now. But yeah, I've got to say, I've really underestimated just how happy him being at Spurs has actually G'd him up to play as well as he is at the moment. So yeah, I actually have quite a lot of faith now he's going to kick on and be a mainstay starter and complete this mouth-watering front three, which we're going to look to get soon, hopefully.
Totally. With relation to the front three, today we saw Vinicius for the first time. So our starting lineup had quite a few changes. Pretty much the whole back four was sort of shuffled a bit. We had Ben Davies captain in the side at centre back, the return of Doherty at right back. Midfield was Winks and Højbjerg, and then we had Bale, Lamela, Mora, and Vinicius. So quite an attack inside, as you would expect in the Europa League. How do we rate this performance? It's a bit of a strange game to gauge because of the fact that obviously a lot of changes made, lower opposition. But what stood out for us today?
Lamela still doesn't know how to pass in the fight. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, his tenacity in winning the ball back in the final third genuinely might be the best in the Premier League. Like legit, that he might be the best at it in the Prem. But there was two massive. I think there was one occasion in the first half where he's like dribbled from, I think, the back end of the middle third, got to the beginning of the final third, and he had like Bale, Vinicius, Reguilon, and someone else and he just looked like he just didn't know what to do, and I just didn't get it. And then he managed to win a free kick like 10 seconds later, fair play. But then there was another time where he just doesn't know how to release the ball when he needs. The one time he did, Bale forced the own goal, but I think he did it again, and he just keeps doing it, and I just don't get why. That's that on Lamela. Tobes, I see you shaking your head, B. What are you saying?
Mate, I don't know how he's got kids. How has the man got kids? This guy does not know how to release to save his life. If you got to release a ball, how's he releasing them bits down below, man? He can't release to save his life. It's ridiculous. He had so many options today, and he's just finding the wrong pass every single time. He will either find the wrong pass or he will stay on it too long and get dispossessed. I don't understand it, because what's weird is he's actually meant to be a bit creative. He played centrally on the right for Roma, and we've seen him create chances in the Spurs side as well. So where the hell is his decision-making gone? I don't understand it. And I said it in the summer as well. We should have flogged him. I'm still saying it now. We should have flogged him. But you know what? If Mourinho's gonna make you the 7th choice attacker and you're gonna play minutes against, I don't even know where this team are from. I don't know where they're from.
Austria.
If that's the case, if that's the role, then fine. I'll accept that. But just watching him makes me want to bang my head against the wall. And it's ridiculous.
So you're saying you're not renewing his contract after next season?
No. Hell to the no, man.
Hell to the no to that testimonial as well. To be honest.
He's our longest serving player right now, ain't he? I swear. Is he?
Yeah.
Danny Rose is still in the cards, but
it's not.
So I know you're a big detractor of Lamella, Jack. Do you think his time is up, or do you think he's still got some legs?
He's been there a few years too long now. I think that there should be like a drinking game for every ball roll he does in the match, because
I'll get waved, boy.
honestly,
A lot of them.
this guy, I do like his. Listen, there are elements of him and I see why Jose picks him in games, but ability-wise, he doesn't look up. It's like his head is just planted to the ground 24/7. This guy does not look up, and that's why he doesn't release. He just rolls the ball constantly, and if he holds the ball for longer than 2 seconds, that's it. We're not, the ball's to the opposition. That's it. The very rare occasion where he actually lets it go, we still keep the ball. We still retain the ball. Otherwise, I don't know. He's just from moment one. I think there was a North London derby when he lost 1-0 at the Emirates was it his debut or his first start?
It was he came on as a sub. I remember
Yeah.
that one. Giroud scored, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he came on. I was like, we're all excited. Like, yeah. You know what? We might have to. If we got to play here, you might do something. And then I'd see like 6 ball rolls in the first minute, and I was like, yeah, we ain't getting back in this game. And he's not changed since. He's still the same player.
It was so frustrating because last quite a poor side, and it was quite nice that we didn't struggle against our Austrian team. But yeah, it was nice to see.
Love it.
Do you know? I think Jose slyly copying Liverpool and Klopp a little bit, because we saw just how attacking our fullbacks were, and Reguilon and Doherty were both fantastic tonight, I thought. And we had Winks and Højbjerg covering those spaces every time they did bomb forward. Obviously, Winks had quite a bit of hate in the first half, and it was somewhat unjust. Like, I guess on the ball, he was a little bit scarce at first, because I felt like he was trying to overcompensate for being criticised for being poor physically, and we saw him kind of covering Reguilon spaces and committing a few fouls early on. And I thought he improved in the second half. And Carlos Vinicius really impressed me tonight, to be honest. Like, constantly a presence. He got the 2 assists, and he looks just really dynamic and skillful as well. Like, that bit of play, even just those interchanged positions for Lucas's goal that he just drifted out to the left. Nice little touch, nice little ball through to Lucas. 1-0. He was a presence for the own goal. Yeah, plenty of positive signs all round, even though we could have scored a lot more without Lamella on the pitch, because the spaces which were popping up in the second half, and we would just be on the transition and there'd be like 2-3 people just outright through on goal. Like, it wasn't even like, he could be through on goal with the right pass. They were clean through.
Yeah.
And do you know what? As well as Lamella as well, I thought Dele was really poor in his cameo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there was a time he stole the ball off Lo Celso as well, and then lost the ball in our half. There was a cutback option where if he played it first time, there was 3 people open for a cutback. Yeah, I think overall that was the most disappointing performance, as well as Lamella's for me.
I think with Harry Winks, I like, Jack will know that I like sticking up for Harry, but like, I think the first half I didn't think he played that well, to be honest. And I do think that his fouls, that's in his game. Like, I see Harry Winks give away a stupid cheap foul like pretty much every couple of games I watch him, like, and they're blatant fouls, and he will start yelling to the referee as if they're not fouls. Like, bro, you just hacked him out, it's a foul. And then but I don't really want to get onto him. I thought like his passing could have been a bit better, but like, I mean, we're playing LASK. He had an okay game, so I don't think tonight is the game for people to sort of like jump on Harry Winks's sort of neck. But I wanted to zero in on Vinicius, man, and I said it when we signed him, and I'm saying it now. Like, it's so refreshing to have a dynamic forward who can actually look like he can carry a goal for it and can lay off chances for other people as well. Just like you said, him peeling off onto the left channel and finding that pass, man, like, that's brilliant. him, the knockdown for Sonny for the third goal. So Mourinho's got his type of striker in the sense that he can play with his back to goal. But I think from a fan point of view, we've got our type of striker in the sense that he's got pace, he's got decent feet, he can work the channels, and he can actually shoot at goals. So I know he had a bad miss with a header tonight, but 2 assists. I think there's plenty more sort of stat padding for him to come, or from him to come in the Europa League, man. I'm happy that we signed him.
It was a good performance. It definitely gave everyone a bit of something to look forward to, which somewhat leads me into sort of reflecting on maybe the past a bit. The West Ham result obviously was a bitter pill to swallow for everybody, and it sparked quite a few animated conversations in our group chat related to the term and the phrase bottling. So I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but one of the surefire ways to get me a bit rattled is to say that Spurs are bottle jobs. And obviously I tend to be quite balanced in my opinions a lot of the time. But when I do get aggro, I get aggro. So there were a few back and forths. And I guess what we sort of have a responsibility to do is to define what is bottling. Me personally, I feel like it's contextual. But if someone can loosely tell me what their opinion on it is, then we can rock from there.
When you're in a good position and you let it go, it's as simple as that. No matter whether it's your league position or whether it's in the game, if you're favourite to win the game and you don't win it, you bottled it. It's as simple as that for me.
Or if you're already miles ahead in the game, and there's I can't even put a timestamp. I don't know, 8 minutes maybe.
I think it could be obviously down to the intentions. So it depends on what your goals are before the outset of a set game, or in terms of what you're aiming for to achieve league position wise. And if you don't achieve it, it's the how. And if you've ended up in a shortcoming and you haven't hit these achievements in a way where you haven't imposed yourself on those goals, then I think that could be deemed as bottling.
Like,
I think the part that gives Sai the most aggro, and Sai, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm speaking out of turn, is that it does for Spurs in the footballing world, it seems not to matter what the context is. People just like throwing at us because it's easy. Like, I think there's a lot of teams have done either worse things or similar things, but we never had tend to. It's not a complaint really, because everyone just likes talking about us. Like, this is the facts. Do you know what I'm saying? But I do about when people.
Oh. Uh-oh.
It's Liverpool Wi-Fi.
I'm texting them. So
Thinking
me?
that.
Yeah.
Is that me? Am I back?
Yeah,
okay.
back.
I don't know what bit I missed up, but long story short, I don't like the way that bottling tends to be used in football, just because the same with a lot of football conversations, to be honest, context just seems to be removed when it suits agendas, to be honest. But you know, we digress.
I think with the whole bottling thing, I hate when opposition fans use it as a word to this. Like, the thing is, don't get me wrong, I'll be the first to admit that Spurs in key moments we've bottled. Like, we don't bottle every game, but we've bottled our fair share of matches to the point where people do have some validity in calling us bottle jobs. But what I don't like is whenever we lose or whenever it's a bad result, oh, Spurs bottled it. I'm like, people don't, it's like the meaning of the word bottle, like, that doesn't make sense. Like, case in point, we lost to Chelsea on penalties in the semi-finals in that 18-19 season in the League Cup. And people are saying we bottled it. I'm like, wait a minute, we've taken the match to penalties. It's a 50-50 shot. Anyone can win the match. Anyone can lose the match. How can you call that bottling? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Or like a champion, like you lot said it as well. We discussed the Champions League final, playing up against a superior side. I know some players bottled it in terms of their performances, but as a whole, losing that game to me, I can't call that bottling. Like, that doesn't, for me, that just doesn't make sense. But on the flip side, when I look at, let's say, Spurs playing a relegated Portsmouth side in 2010,
This
the FA Cup
pissed me off.
in the FA Cup semi-final, that's a bottle. That's bottling it. Go on, tell me I'm wrong.
I'll let you rock with that. I knew you'd fall into the Venus flytrap on this one. So Owen mentioned, for me, well, Owen and Ohio both mentioned key bits. So for me, it's the how and the context. So you're fixated on this idea that Portsmouth were a lesser side and they beat us in the season where they got relegated, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's only that's only part of the whole season in its entirety. In the 6 games after that, we beat Arsenal, Chelsea, and Manchester City to make it to the Champions League for the first time in our history.
Yeah.
So to call us bottle jobs within the context of all of that is, to me, redundant. It's like, in one instance, within like the last stretch of the season, yeah, we've lost a game, but we've also won the 3 biggest games that defined a key moment in our history. So the whole idea that we were bottle jobs at any point during that time gets dispelled when we look at the season as a whole and we say, actually, we exceeded our expectation. Everyone had us finishing 5th or 6th that season, and we managed to break through into the top 4. So I feel like it's with Spurs tinted glasses that we look hypercritically at how we're performing on a game by game basis, and we remove a lot of the wider context or even the games that follow those type of performances.
I get that, but I think when you put it that way, it's an amazing season, don't get me wrong, but for that specific moment, I think you can have an amazing season but still have a game where you bottled it. I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. For me, I look at that season, I don't even remember the FA Cup more times than when I'm talking about that season. I don't even mention the FA Cup because I look at, like you said, Gareth Bale coming into the team, us beating Chelsea, us beating Arsenal, etc., etc. Brilliant. Us winning that away to Man City, but ultimately, that's a cup semi-final against a side that I think we did beat in the league. We should be beating them. So if you don't beat them, I'm sorry, you bottled it. You bottled it for that game.
I think cup games for me are always a bit of an exception. Even in situation, once you get to a semi or a final, all favoritism almost goes out the window. Realistically, we see it all the time. Like, the lesser teams will elevate because they feel like that's the only shot they're going to get, or the bigger teams, they take the occasion for granted and they fall short of expectations. So again, within the context of that particular game and that run-in, there was a lot of other things for us to focus on. If it would have been nice to win a cup, it's always nice to win a trophy, but ultimately, even those trophies only really serve to supplement your baseline objectives over the course of the season. So if I'm sitting there and I'm being hypercritical, I'm like, yeah, you should always beat teams that are worse than you. But then if I'm being realistic, I'm saying to myself, maybe that result acted as a catalyst for us to actually push on and destroy Arsenal, destroy Chelsea, and beat Manchester City away from home in order to solidify ourselves as a Champions League team. So for me, bottling, and even in that situation, feels a little bit too harsh for me.
All right, so let me ask you this question then. Yeah, so let me think of an example. So Newcastle back in 96? 96. Yeah. 96. Newcastle back in 96, when they had that ridiculous point gap over Man United. Man United came back and won the league. Would you say that was Newcastle bottling the league?
Absolutely.
Even though they were amazing, would you say that Newcastle were bottling the league? And that's one example. Leicester last season, yeah. Leicester were clear. They were third. Everyone had already sort of said, yep, Champions League rubber stamp. They finished, I think they were like more than 10 points clear. They finished the season 5th. Would you call that bottling? And then my final example, Tottenham now. 2012-2013 season, we beat Arsenal at home and we are 10 points clear. We're 10 points clear of Arsenal with, I don't know, maybe like 8 or 9 games to go. And we somehow finished below Arsenal. A weakened Arsenal side, might I add as well. So Would you call all of the, if you can't call these scenarios bottling, what do you call them?
They're not all bottling.
They're-
Newcastle, yes. Leicester, no, because again, removing if we're paying respect to the actual context, COVID hit, came back from the restart, and then their form petered out.
But their form was petering out before COVID, though.
Yeah, but it petered out in an exponentially worse fashion post-COVID. So again, I've got to give them a little bit of a blight. I'd love to scrutinize them because I'm not the biggest fan of Leicester, but it is what it is. You got to be reasonable. And in terms of us finishing below Arsenal, that for me was always a mental block for us until we did it, and we haven't really looked back since. So again, you can be as far ahead as you want, but you still got to play all of your games, innit? And over the course of a league season, I feel like whether you get off to a hot start or you finish strong, you do have to pay respect to the fact that until the season's done, it's a toss up where you finish. You got to finish your dinner every single game. So I think it's difficult to even call that a bottle job. I think it's unfortunate.
I'm going to chuck one more spanner into it, and I'm going to open the floor for everyone else. So that season when we finished 5th, it followed a season previously, literally the season before that, where we were in the exact same position. Third, 10 points clear of Arsenal.
We were 12 points clear.
12 points clear of Arsenal with an even weaker Arsenal squad. An even weaker Arsenal squad, and we finished behind them. So this is what I'm trying to say. Like, if you're not going to call it bottling, what do you call it?
2006 as well. Lasagna
Gate. But even Lasagna Gate, I wouldn't call bottling. I would say, I think that's just unfortunate. But 2011, 2012, 2013, what do you call that if you don't call it bottling?
I think for me, like, because again, bottling is very hard, like contextually, like in golf, like you call it the yips, but again, golf is completely different. It's one-on-one, and they put it down to like, psychologically, your body just doing something completely involuntary in your golf game. I think with football, for me, like it's when you genuinely cannot handle the pressure. Like you're in a position where it is genuinely in your hands, and I'm sorry, like if you're 10, 12 points clear with an amount of games where it is 100% in your hands, and if I just think for me, if you let the pressure get to you that much, then you have bottled it. Do you know what I'm saying? And Sai, going back to your point with the FA Cup loss potentially acting as catalyst, I think the two can be the same. I think we can say we bottled the semi-final, and I think that there were definitely some. I agree where you said some higher level players are going to get complacent, lower level players are going to try and step up more, but it's going to be on the higher level players to step up when it counts. And if they let the pressure get to them and they think, Kevin Prince Boateng's giving me a tough time today, for me that's bottling it. Yes, did we turn it around and finish as high as we possibly could? Absolutely. But I think you can say you bottled that semi, but then also did well afterwards. Do you know what I'm saying? Because in the situation, like we had a semi-final to win and we didn't, that we probably should have. While on junior side.
Owen, I know you want to say something. You're smirking over there.
Oh, I just saw Sai potentially getting distracted there because I knew he wanted to chime in, but he couldn't. But to offer a little bit more context as well, I guess a lot of our shortcomings when it comes to bottling is I don't think we bottled I'd say either the 15-16 or 16-17 league seasons. However, I do think we've had a lot of shortcomings in terms of bottling and not imposing ourselves in high-stake cup or knockout games. Like there's been I don't know how many semi-finals it's been now since we've won for the FA Cup, but there's a fair few. Yeah. Knockout game against Ajax, it was a little bit different because we just were not expected to do it. Whereas against Liverpool, they just didn't turn up. I'd say we bottled that. There's been semi-finals against Chelsea and Man United, especially when we took the lead against United. I felt like we bottled that, and especially Portsmouth as well. And like Ahio said, I think you can call it bottling, but if you're looking at it over a course of a season and it does that acts as a catalyst for you to do better, albeit the same. But let's try not bowl the next semi-final, and then it happens again. So yeah, like I don't know. I'm still mostly on the fence with this, but I've got to say I'm probably leaning towards us being bottlers in the sense where we have had so many shortcomings in these high-stake cup games.
Definitely. That's what I'm thinking as well. Sorry, go on, Jack.
No, I agree. I think when you let John Attack and Frederick Piquion get to you, definitely got it. So, but yeah, again, contextually, obviously rival fans are going to use it whenever, again, the Leicester, Chelsea seasons when we didn't win the league, we were never on top. You can't bottle something where, you're never in a pole position for it anyway.
Yeah.
I think some Liverpool fans will always say that they didn't bottle the 13-14 season because they were never in the run-in, before the season started to even, barely for even top four, let alone winning the title. But obviously, how many points were they above City before,
I can't remember.
With 2 games left.
Yeah.
That's bottling. That is bottling. It doesn't matter what position, what you were in, or what your expectations were before the season starts. It's what position you put yourself in at that time, at that period, at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And you choke. At the end of the day, the term choking is there. And that's what we've done on plenty of occasions. I think tactically, when Son was left wing back,
We played brilliantly that game, though. Yeah. We were really good in that game. They just scored everything that they hit.
But it cost us as well with the penalty. And
yeah,
at the end of the day, so it's small little things like that.
Yep. On that game as well, it's funny you mentioned that because Sai, you say we played well. We did play well, but you know what the difference was between us and Chelsea? Conte didn't show Pochettino his full, what's the word I'm looking for? He didn't show Pochettino his hand. Like, he still had weapons on the bench. And I felt Pochettino shoehorned Sonny into that team. He didn't need to do that. He could have left Son on the bench, played your 3-4-3. When the game's at 2-2, then you bring him on. And then you try and see if you can crack Chelsea down some more. But no, we didn't do that. And instead, we ended up bringing on Kyle Walker on the bench and playing him left wing back or something like that.
There were injury issues going into that game. I remember going to that game, and on the way there, I saw Son as left wing back, and I was a bit confused. I thought we were going to play 3 at the back, but we didn't. So yeah, it's one of those things for me. Like, again, context is key, and even in those moments, I guess I'm just adverse to the phrase, if you will. I think it has to be taken on a game by game basis because we've seen over the course of history that football can be quite cruel. You can't really provision for certain things that might happen over the course of a game, or how momentum might shift. So I don't think it's indicative of any fiber within our DNA that we've fallen short at the last hurdle, because in order to get to the last hurdle, you've got to get over some hurdles anyway. So if we were constantly getting knockouts of Champions League or first rounds of cups, then I'd understand. But once you get to the later stages, someone's got to lose, innit? And someone's going to be disappointed. I think we channel a lot of our disappointment into trying to rationalize it. We call ourselves Spursy and all of that bollocks. But yeah, this conversation will definitely come up again this season.
I hope in a positive way to say that we're not bottling it, because yeah.
Just very quickly before we move on from bottling, would you man say that Barca are now Champions League bottlers because they went to Roma, slapped, they went to
yes,
100%.
Yes, 100%.
We saw the Neymar remontada. No, actually, no, that was years ago. So it was PSG that bottled that one. Even there's just bottlers everywhere in Europe. It just only seems to be us that people talk about when it happens.
But you could also ask the same about Pep in the Champions League.
Yeah, against Lyon, he's bottled it. For Man City, he's bottled it every year, single year.
Monaco one as well. Was
ridiculous. The Spurs one was the Spurs one was brilliant to be at, but from his perspective at home to not go through when the Harry Kane team with no Harry Kane.
The Harry Kane team.
Man, it's that is what you call A grade Pierre de la Resistance or whatever it's called. That is chef's kiss bottling.
I think also
what Spanish beer can we attribute to him? I'm on alcohol-free Copperbergs today, so I'm feeling a
Um,
bit wavy with the bottles.
Given the current pandemic, just give him a Corona, bro.
But even with Bayern when they played Atletico before he joined City, I think
yeah,
Bayern were the favourites for that
It
game.
was just Griezmann and Inshallah that one, and they
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, that was really good from Griezmann. Though. But just the last word on this though, I think it's really funny when opposition fans call us bottle jobs. But the one thing Sai said in our chat, which is true, is that when we've come a long way to sort of shed that image, that doesn't get spoke about enough. Like people will talk about the fact that Spurs, they never win away at Chelsea, blah blah blah. But when we did win away at Chelsea, we won 3-1. You weren't talking about it. People will talk about Spurs, this that and the other, Europe, this that. But when we get all the way to the Champions League final, they're lucky. It's this, that, and the other. I think if you're going to call us bottle jobs, at least give us some sort of credit when we sort of exceed your expectations in these pressure cooker situations. And I don't think we get that love whenever we sort of surpass people's expectations.
They hate us because we're doping it. It's that simple, bro. Going into the weekend, we have Crystal Palace. Is it
Crystal Palace? I thought it was Burnley.
Burnley, sorry. My mind is scrambled now. We have Burnley this weekend. What are our predictions for this game? Obviously, coming off the back of West Ham and then LASK. How do we see us shaping up? And what are our score predictions for the game?
Are we at home or away, by the way?
Away.
Smaller pitch. I think it'd be quite tight, purely because is Eric Dier back for this game as well?
I'm not sure.
Because if he's not back, what I will say, if he's not back, I don't feel comfortable at all, because obviously we will probably try and impose ourselves, and then they'll probably beat our press with their long balls to their big physical strikers. And I can't imagine Davinson, even though I feel like Sanchez has had like a bit too much criticism, I don't think he'll be able to cope very well with their strikers, nor will Toby. I can't imagine him gambling on playing Joe Rodon. So in that sense, it could be a tight one, especially with their set pieces as well, because we still technically haven't really addressed it yet. So that'll be interesting to see how we cope with that. If I was to go for an early score prediction, I'll just say it might even be a score draw.
Nah, we're gonna win that. I know I was confident against West Ham and we got egg in our face, but like Mourinho said, I don't think you're gonna see us go 3-0 up with 8 minutes to go and not win the game again. At least certainly not for a long time. I think Burnley are there for the taking. I think in the previous 2 seasons we've gone there and they bashed us up physically and they've literally taken the game to us. I think this time we're much more prepared. We've got a full complement of players, with the exception of, I think, with Dyer and Tanganga. And I know they are going to have that physical threat, but I just think with our ballers on the pitch, I don't think they're going to be able to handle us. I think it's the first time in 3 seasons we've got a properly fit Harry Kane playing at that ground. And the last time we had a fit Harry Kane playing at that ground, we slapped them 3-0. So I say 100% fit anyway. So I'm not worried about this match. I think a clean sheet will be too much to ask for. So I think the game will end 2-1 or 3-1 to us, but I'm confident we're going to get that result.
They haven't won the game this season, have they?
They have not.
They've not been in a good run, and we've got much more quality as well this season than we did the last season. So there should be a massive improvement in performance at the very least, and with their form as well, we should be winning this game 3-1. But again, Dr. Tottenham, you know.
I hate that.
It's always there. And with Sanchez, with all our centre backs right now, I can't say I'm confident we'll keep a clean sheet, but we should be winning this game 3-1 with our attacking quality on the pitch. We have the quality players to actually move that ball forward, break this team down.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with, obviously I got about the boys, so I'm going to say 2-1. I would love a 2-0, but I genuinely think that Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes will be a little bit too much for Davinson and potentially Toby. I think Eric would be able to handle one or the other, but I do think if someone partners Eric, he's going to be in a bit of trouble, annoyingly. But you know, on the positive side, we haven't spoken much about Hugo this season, and I think not on a taken for granted vibe. I think because he was arguably our best player since restart. I think it's just a good thing he's just kept it consistent to the point we don't feel like we need to talk about it now. Do you know what I mean? Like before lockdown, he was looking a bit slippy to the point where post lockdown we were like, oh yeah, he's doing great. Whereas like, well, that's the guy we bought in the first place. Do you know what I mean? And now he looks like he's maintained that level. So I think that does us a bit of a favour, even with shaky centre backs. I think I'm going to try and slap a 10 on return the favour again between Son and Kane. So yeah, I'll go 2-1 for the boys.
I'm confident. They've not won a game, as Jack pointed out. They've lost 3. They have a -5 goal difference. They're not scoring against us. They're not. As much as I'd like to like put.
Don't clip that in the edit, by the way. Pre-match thoughts aside, they ain't scoring.
They ain't scoring. I'll put my hat on that one.
Nice.
Knowing us, they will score in the first 6 minutes now, but. No, for me, we do have a lot more quality than we have had in the past. Our squad depth is very impressive. To have Kane and Son and Bergwijn, or any combination of our front players, is going to be an advantage for us. And I think in these type of games, we're going to see this new style and this new setup that we've been playing with the extra width on both sides of the pitch provided by the fullbacks. I think we'll be able to break them down a lot quicker than we have in the past. We've also got Bale to come off the bench if needed. So maybe we'll see a 30-yarder that we've all been clamoring for. So I do expect us to win 2 or 3-0, to be perfectly honest. If it's anything else, so be it. As long as we win, I'm cool, because we need to start racking up these points ASAP. So yeah, does anyone else have anything else to add?
I think Ndombele's coming back for revenge season, because this was the very same ground where Jamie Carragher's infamous criticism, Mourinho hanging him out to dry. And yes, he was shit. He was shit that game, I know, defensively and whatnot. But I just felt that like that game was like sort of possibly the turning point. And now to have him rested today, knowing that he's going to start that game, I think it's revenge season. And I think against that weary sort of Burnley midfield, he's coming for blood. So with Lo Celso on the bench as well, I'm oh so confident that we're going to get 3 points. I'm so confident.
Yeah, totally. Ndombele in these type of games is going to be vital for us. It's a player that can carry the ball as well as break the lines. We've been missing that for a long time, and we finally got it. So yeah, I'm just hoping he sprints so we can dispel all of that bullshit.
Hella sprints.
Definitely.
Hella sprints.
This is a game for Højbjerg as well. I want to see that physical battle in that midfield. I want to see him clap people.
Højbjerg the Barbarian today with the head wrap and all of that. Got a big gash on his eye and all of that.
Terry Butcher.
That was mad, you know. Man megged him and carried on jogging. And when he kicked the ball out, I was like, he just had blood spurting out his eye and he can't. Oh, boy, that's Mourinho's warrior, bro.
Yeah, that's a progressive midfielder, man.
Trust me.
until he makes a couple mistakes or starts passing sideways, and Jack is going to be back.
This guy looks to pass the ball forward. That's what I'm saying.
To be fair, when we first spoke about Højbjerg, Jack was quite positive about him, even in absence of the fact that like he wasn't sort of like, I don't know, like a party or whatever. But he's getting much better, man. Every time I watch him, I'm smiling because I'm seeing this guy literally boss things in our midfield, and we've needed that for a long, long time, and I'm happy to be proven wrong about him. Very happy.
Mm.
You don't need a sensational name in that position. You just need to be a cog in a well-oiled machine, and that's what he is, pretty much.
Yeah, he's definitely given me early Wanyama vibes in terms of just slotting in, no real assimilation period, bar the first couple of games where he looked a bit below the pace, but he's slotted in and he gives freedom to the rest of the boys. So as Jack said, that's pretty much all you need is that cog in the hub and just keep it moving. Let everybody else do all the fancy shit. So yeah, I think that's all for this week. Obviously we'll be on the socials and make sure everyone join the Discord. I know it's been slightly neglected by some of us, me in particular, but we are looking to get better with all of that side of things as well. So do join the Discord, keep the conversation going, and we'll see you guys soon.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.